What is up, Alphas? Oh, welcome to our next Alpha interview. Today, we're hanging out with Crystal with Obsessions by Crystal. Crystal, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Tell the Alphas, aside from, the obsession part, what is it that you sell in your Etsy shop?
I make wire-wrapped gemstone jewelry. And I use all authentic gemstones and silver wire, and I just kind of create what comes to mind in the moment.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And have you been in HAA for a while? Because I feel like you're a newer alpha.
I have followed you for a really long time, and I didn't officially join HAA until 2021. No, 22. No, 20. Sorry. It's been a slow process for me. I think I hit my year mark in December.
Got it. 21.
Yeah. Yeah, 20.
I felt like you were, because it's like everybody joined around that 2019 to 2020, like Etsy pandemic wave period when everybody was like shopping on Etsy, and it was a really great time. Did you feel like, because you joined HAA around that time, and you were doing a lot of like improvements and things during that time, do you feel like once the pandemic, shopping wave died off, were you able to maintain momentum, or did that have like any impact on your shop? Because we've heard it kind of both ways with sellers.
Actually, so during the pandemic in 2020, I kind of backed off on my shop during the main part of the pandemic. Yeah. I was already stressed, and I just didn't feel like pushing an unnecessary product while everyone was so struggling. And so I just kind of took that summer really slow. And then around September, started picking up again to get ready for Christmas, because I realized that, people were still shopping, and I might as well join in and continue with what I'd been doing. And I had a very good Christmas season. And then I didn't stop after that. It continued. And I have just gone up and up and up ever since. And I actually joined that December, decided to, this seems pretty good. I think I need to go to the next level.
That's awesome. That was going to be my next question is what made you decide to join HAA? Because everybody's got, their reason. But what was it, aside from getting through that good holiday and, deciding to take your next, or your, that big next step for your shop, what is your reason? Like, what is your why for your business? What gets your like blood moving and gets you excited to do what you do? Because I think that every industry has like a different, internal attachment to their creations. So what's yours?
Well, having that good holiday, even after taking the entire summer off, I kind of had a personal realization that what I was doing, like, people really did appreciate it. And there really was a market for, unique jewelry, because a lot of the stuff that I create is one of a kind, because each stone is different. And I don't use the traditional stones that are all, uniform. I use a lot of unique pieces, special stones that are different from other pieces. And just having that personal moment of realizing that, wow, I think people do kind of like what I'm doing. And, I want to take that next step and really take it seriously, almost.
That's awesome. So one of a kind, that's always a nice topic to dive into with the alphas, because they always have questions about one of a kind, mainly because obviously when you create one of a kind pieces where you can't maintain a singular listing, Etsy's algorithm can't help to build like a listing quality score for that item. Therefore, it can be harder to rank and search. So how do you run your shop having one of a kind pieces? Are you able to list that, though the gemstones themselves are all going to be different in nature, that they are all made of the same stone and every piece is unique? Or do you have a different strategy that you use?
I actually have a couple of strategies. I I did a few pieces that I could repeat, that the stones were the same and, close enough in the same that they could be a repeat listing. So I had a few of those that, help bring people in over and over again, and then they find something that's unique. And then I also started doing a strategy where I would create a necklace that was a certain stone. And it was made the exact same way every time, but the stone was slightly different, and I would update the photos. So it was the same listing for the same type of necklace, the same size, everything was the same, just the actual photo of the stone was different. And so I would update the photos, and that gave me that listing quality score of a one-of-a-kind necklace, but still similar, that I was able to update, basically.
That's perfect.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we tell sellers, because we get a lot that will want to join HAA and they're like, oh, I am exclusively one of a kind. I will never make the same item twice. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But it's no offense to anybody who wants to do that. Etsy's algorithm, just they like to see things that sell over and over again. So that's a really great strategy. And so what's the time like to photographing unique products for those updates? Do you have like a good flow? Was it difficult at first?
I do. I have a pretty good system where I take essentially the same photos, just for each pennant. So one in my hand, one against a ruler, one on a mannequin, and I repeat those, and I just do them all in the same order. That way I never miss one. And then I just lay whatever I'm taking photos of out, and I go through that routine with each one.
Awesome. Yeah. It's almost like creating, like, if you were making your products and you had an assembly line, you can do almost the same thing for your photos, where you're like, okay, check this box, this box, this box, this box. Mm-hmm. So that's great. So let's backtrack a little bit back to when you were first, starting out creating jewelry, because, everybody has their first piece or their first time experimenting, that first idea that they want to try out. Do you have anything that you wish that you had known back then, for all of the newbies out there who might be in that position right now where they're just starting out? What's something that back then you wish you would have known earlier in your journey?
Or something you would have done different?
Yeah, something you would have done completely differently or wish you would have done.
That's a really tough question. I think that my biggest thing whenever I look back on what I was doing is to not be afraid of trying something new. And I kind of like don't discount, what I could do. There were a few times that I would say, oh, I wish I could make that. And well, I just hadn't tried it yet. And so just kind of don't discredit yourself and what you can try to do. And if you don't try it, you're never going to really, know if you can get it done.
Absolutely. I always say, like, what's the worst that can happen? And with wire jewelry, I'm assuming that the worst that can happen is you disassemble the piece. It's not like it's a permanent thing. You can try again and test something new. And if it doesn't work, you can still break everything down into its base components. That's, unlike somebody who crochets something and they have to disassemble a whole blanket or something.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit easier, because I definitely did the same when I was making jewelry, where I would just have to time to break this apart, start over. This didn't work. So
absolutely. That's definitely, I have still taken things apart and started all over again because it just wasn't working. And, it turned out better after, taking it apart.
That's awesome. So how long have you been making jewelry? I assume you didn't start making jewelry in 2020.
No, I started in 2016, and I am completely self-taught. Like, I've never taken a class or anything. It's just been all trial and error, watching YouTube tutorials and just learning how to do things and then applying that to what I was working on. I'm not really good at following an actual tutorial. It's kind of like cooking. I can't follow a recipe either. So I am always changing it, and just, it's a lot of trial and error. And so I started in 2016, but I didn't open my jewelry Etsy shop until 2018.
Oh, wow. So was that due to you wanting to make sure that, like, you had it down? Or when you started making it, did you not intend to sell your products? Were you just making them, like, for fun?
It's kind of a mix of the two. I actually had an Etsy crochet shop and I was crocheting hats. And so I was doing really well with that. So I'd played around on Etsy for a while and I did the crochet shop for a little bit. But I wanted to make jewelry, but jewelry and crochet didn't really go together. And I tried a few times, like, oh, I'm just going to throw my jewelry up with my crochet. And it was not successful. So I decided in 2018 that I was kind of done with crochet and wanted to focus on jewelry and completely started a brand new shop from scratch.
Awesome. Yeah, that's another really, really great topic to bring up, because I think that a lot of alphas are afraid, especially if they have a shop that is doing well, like you said, but you just kind of fall out of love with it. They think that, oh, it would be such a waste to start over and start from scratch. But do you feel like if you would have just tried to keep hammering at the crochet, like, would you be as successful as you are now doing something that you like? I'm assuming more. I'm assuming you like making jewelry more since you're still doing it.
Well, with the crochet, I found that I hit a point where I was dreading when an order would come in, because a lot of it was made to order. And so with the crochet, there was a popular phase in crochet when people were making F-bombs.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I was getting so many orders for those that I got to the point where I was like, I'm going to raise the price. I want people to stop ordering these. I don't want to make them anymore. And I just got to a point, I really just don't want to crochet it. Like, it really kind of drove me to a point where it's like, I really don't love this anymore. And I would rather do jewelry. And I found it easier to just completely close the shop and start fresh with a whole new focus where I didn't feel an obligation to crochet. And I could just let it go.
That's great. That's great.
Good. I think a lot of sellers have a similar sentiment. You know, they want to start an Etsy shop and they start with something that's a hobby of theirs, and they don't really understand that, like, you won't enjoy it as much once it becomes an obligation. So I'm sure a lot of people share this sentiment with that. So I'm sure making your wire jewelry, I'm sure it takes quite a bit more time than crocheting. I'm assuming
it really does. Yeah.
And you do a lot of mostly like one of a kind pieces. Yeah. So what does an average workday like actually look for you? Like how do you sit and plan out what you're going to do? Do you have an idea of what you're going to make? Like, what does that look like for you?
So I keep my working hours strictly to when my kids are in school. So they leave at 8:00 and then I go and get them at 2:30. So that's my window of time. And I also have to juggle, other things like whether I got to clean the house that day kind of thing. But a lot of times I just kind of follow whatever I feel like creating. Usually I start the morning with packaging orders so that I can get those all done and out of the way. And I can focus on whatever I want to create. And I've tried to do collections, which is taught in HAA, but it didn't really work out the first time I did it because I just couldn't build it. Like I ended up getting stuck on the fact that I don't really want to make this right now. I want to go do something else. And I just kind of follow that creativity and what I feel like messing with and what box of stones I open up. And, like, I think that I really want to work with this one today. And just kind of follow that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a lot more powerful too as a creator to kind of let your creativity do what it wants.
You let it flow.
Yeah, because if you're a painter, and you have to sit and paint a specific thing that you don't want to paint every day, it's not going to be the same as if you're just like, you sit in front of the canvas and you just paint whatever comes to mind.
That's why all the best songs are written in a time where it was important for them to write that song, right? Like they were inspired to do what they wanted to do. So if you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling what you're doing, the piece isn't going to come out the way that you want it to come out, and you're not going to enjoy doing it. So what's the point? So I like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
So in these last few years, because this shop is a little bit newer. I mean, I know it probably feels like you've been doing it forever, but I would consider your shop still like a baby shop, and you've made a lot of sales just in these last few years. So what would you say that so far your proudest accomplishment has been building this shop up as quickly as you have?
So it was really exciting to hit 1,000 orders. The other, I guess it's been a week now, but that was really exciting. Like I felt like that was just never going to happen, one necklace at a time. And so hitting that was huge. Like that felt really good and kind of gave me a sense of legit, I'm real now. And but I think coming up with branding and creating a look and realizing that my target, what my target customer was, and seeing that repeat over and over again. Like I'll get a new customer, but they're very similar to past customers, and just seeing that over and over again, and realizing that I created something that a type of person likes, and that's kind of exciting to me.
Yeah, and your branding is perfect. I love that you use the clean white backgrounds. I know a lot of people are like, I don't like it. It's so boring.
But especially for small pieces, like
and
smaller
jewelry.
Pieces and jewelry, that's the best way to do it, because you're not removing any detail. You can save the fancy stuff where you throw it in a bouquet of flowers and all. Yeah, that can be
marketing.
That's marketing, or it's like a second or third display photo or something like that.
Yeah, we were looking at your shop last night, and first of all, immediately he's like, look, she uses a rock just like you used to, and then he was like, wait, that's not a rock, that's petrified wood. Like he's like picking apart your shop down to its like most bare elements. But then we clicked on one of your listings, and he's like, I can immediately tell a Starla 𝔸𝕚𝕚𝕒𝕟 modeled shop, because you've got all of your photos, you've got your product laying next to a ruler, you've got your product in a hand, you've got your how the product comes packaged, you've got your email list, like you've got all of the essentials in place.
Leaving no questions on the table.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so important. And your reviews are great. So it obviously shows that people are getting exactly what they think they're going to receive. Have you had any negative experiences so far on Etsy?
Not really. All of my customers have been absolutely wonderful. I mean, my strangest review was probably 4 stars, but the complaint was that my necklace was too feminine, which is interesting, because I am making jewelry for women. And so, I've had a wonderful experience on Etsy. I've had wonderful customers. I've done custom orders, and everything has always it's gone very smoothly for me.
That's great. And I think that that's something positive that more people need to hear, because there's so many people who are afraid to start.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. Simply because they think that like, oh no, customers are evil. The customers are awful. They're going to try to scam me. They're going to try to get free things. And
that fear of rejection is definitely one of the number one things that when people say that they haven't started their shop, or they don't want to start their social media, or it's the fear of rejection. It's a very real thing. So we get it. But
yeah.
I went through that fear of rejection with social media, and I actually just started social media in November of last year, like really got into it. And I definitely felt that before. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to put my face out there. I don't know if, I want it to be more than, my hands and kind of thing, but it's been good so far.
That's great.
It's not bad once you get started. I think it's one of those things where you're really tense, you do it, and then every post that you make, when you start getting positivity, the first couple of posts, you don't get any likes, you don't get any responses.
Because no one's following you yet.
It takes a few months, so you're like, man, maybe people hate me. I don't like this. But then you start getting all the good comments, and it's just kind of brushing it off, and then it doesn't feel like anything anymore. It just becomes another part of the process. It becomes natural.
Yeah, and gemstone jewelry, especially on like Instagram, it's so popular right now. Have you been doing Instagram at all?
I have. I started Instagram and doing Reels in November, and I was at about 750 followers, and that had been over several years of building that. But I started Reels, and I'm at just over 19,000 followers right now.
Oh, that is amazing.
My goodness.
So why didn't we start talking about that earlier? Because that's something that the alphas want to hear. If let's sum it up in one question for all the alphas who are like, I don't want to learn how to do reels. These aren't going to work. Nobody's going to follow me because of these. Do you have any words of wisdom for them?
Oh my gosh, don't hesitate to do it, because I've had several reels that have hit that kind of viral level of views, and I have had record months every single month this year since starting Reels. Every single month is just, it's beyond all of my records on Etsy of sales. I've just been doing really well.
That's
so
awesome.
Reels. It's Reels.
That's great. That's great. And do you have call to actions in your Reels at all, or do you just show your products and people organically come over and follow you based on those Reels?
I kind of do a mix of both. Sometimes it's pretty heavy with, like, this is going to be available right now. There's only 3 of them kind of thing. And then sometimes I'm just like, look, I created this and that's it. There's no text on the video. There's nothing. It's just, I made it start to finish and that's it.
But that's smart.
Yeah.
The stuff where you're not posting it to make a sale gets people to engage. Oh my God, where can I get this? Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. Where can I buy this? And then that engagement leads more people over. And then when you finally do post something that's like, hey, this is available, then you've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of new people following you that are going to immediately go off and try to buy it. Yeah. So smart.
So how often do you post your Reels?
It's kind of a mix. Like if I'm having a week where I'm really creating a lot of stuff, I'll post every day. But like the last couple of weeks I've been sick. And so I have not been posting at all. And I still am getting constant notifications. But the things that I post, I kind of mix it all up. My last video was, I was putting stamps on my boxes, just branding. And I wasn't even thinking, and I put the stamp upside down. So I just went ahead and posted it. Like, I'm stamping the box and I stamped it upside down, and this is what I did. And even that was like, oh yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah. People love seeing the behind the scenes, even if it's like the silliest thing that you do every day that you don't think anybody's going to care about. That's the thing that seems to blow up that everybody wants to see. So anybody who has a camera phone right now, if you're watching this, just start recording things. Eventually, one of the things is going to stick because people like to watch you do whatever it is that you do, even if it's something as silly as packing an order. So this is like, we're getting to the end of the interview. And we've asked everybody that we've interviewed so far, what would you say to somebody who is thinking about joining HAA for their own business, but maybe they're nervous, maybe they're afraid of the time investment, the money investment, they're afraid that they won't be able to do it or that they won't be able to finish it? Based on your experiences going through the program and how it's, worked for you, what would you tell them?
I would say don't hesitate. And actually, I have not completely finished it. So I still have the last module to do, but I'm busy. I'm busy and my shop is taken off, and I will eventually get to that last module and I'll watch it when you revamp it. But I definitely recommend it. If you can invest the money, the time investment is not too bad, but you'll end up busy. You won't be able to finish it.
That's you.
The common answer.
We have had like one person, I think, that we've interviewed out of like 19 interviews. One person has made it through. Everybody else says that they get to like the marketing portion and then they get busy and then they can't finish it. But I will say that module 9, it's just that like next level module. So
no rush.
Yeah, no rush. You are in no rush to get through that, because that's like module 9 is all the stuff like, okay, you've done everything else and now you are not so busy. You can do these things. But if you've gotten through the first 8, like you've pretty much finished.
Most people make it to like 5 or 6, some people 7 or 8.
Yeah, social media marketing, and then they're like, okay, I'm done.
Social media marketing doesn't work for every kind of business. So some people make it a little bit further, but for the majority of people, once they get to the social media part, it's done. They can't keep up and do everything else all at the same time.
I really saw an uptick in sales when I passed the branding and just getting that branding down and filling out the rest of my shop. I thought I had it all filled out, but my About Me section was lacking. And so getting through that section and just filling all that stuff in and really knowing what my business looked like once I got to that point, sales started.
It's about building that psychologically appealing brand. And that's really what we try to teach, because anybody can say, okay, my shop is done, but I don't think that a business is ever done. I don't think that there's a point when someone says like, my business is done, my branding is done, my SEO is done. It's always going to evolve, and you're always able to add to it and tweak it and change it. And
there's a lot of people who don't believe in branding. Occasionally we'll get emails where people say, I don't see the point. I don't feel like we just had one. I don't feel like I need to brand, but the point of Etsy is to be a human experience. It's not like Amazon. It's not like eBay. It's supposed to be real people, not corporations, selling to other real people. And there's nothing more real than doing what you can to make someone attracted to your image, attracted to your shop.
That atmosphere.
Yeah, there should be an atmosphere. You go to a shop that doesn't have a banner, doesn't have any branding. It's just a plain hard shadowed picture taken with their cell phone, and it doesn't feel icky, but it doesn't instill confidence that this person cares about the product that they're shipping to you. So when you take the time to make your banner look pretty, and you have your face on your profile, and you've got your pictures all nice and pretty, and you've got all the explanations on how to take care of the product, like it's a more human experience. And I think that's what people look for when they come to Etsy.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree with that. A lot of the people that I talk to, I use your swipe files whenever I am talking to the customers. And a lot of times they're very like they just made a purchase. That's it. And then I'll talk to them and I'll put my personality into it. And, I make a genuine message to them. And then pretty soon I've had a conversation with them over Etsy messages, and they've followed me on all my social medias, and then they're engaging there. And it's just putting myself into the message and the conversation with them. So they're not just talking to another person. They're talking to me, and I made all this, and I'm making it for them, and every single order is special. Like I treat it like that every single time, and I engage with them.
And
I love that.
That becomes a part of your branding. Like people think that branding is a logo. That's your visible branding, but your invisible branding is the feelings that you create, and it's what people think about your brand. And, your customer service and communication and the care that you give to a customer, that all plays in. And it makes sure that around holiday time, when they think, I need a gift for my sister, you're one of the first people that comes to mind, not just your jewelry, but your brand and you as a person as well, because they want to help you and help themselves by purchasing from you. So, Crystal, thank you so much for hanging out. Do you have any final words of wisdom that you would like to share with the alphas as we sign off?
I think my biggest thing is don't discredit yourself. You're definitely capable of doing all those things that you think that you can't. You're definitely capable of doing them. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching.